Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix, and welcome to tonight's in-depth look at Friday, March the 18th, full moon in Virgo. How are you all feeling? Because it's interesting, the sign of Virgo is a sign that can be full of anxieties. And I think it's because Virgos have such attention to detail. They are so determined to get everything in its right place, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, that they can often suffer anxieties about whether they've got everything absolutely right. So Virgoans can overthink quite a bit. Now, this full moon is about letting go. Virgo, apart from the anxiety feeling, is about service to others. It's about our routines. It's about our day-to-day working environment. So, if we go back to looking about anxieties, this is about letting go of anxieties over things that we have no control over. Whether it's a relationship that needs to go, or a way of behavior in a relationship. This full moon is perfect for finding that inner sense of balance and harmony with a loved one. It can also mean that you need to let go of certain behaviors that are restricting you, preventing you finding the harmony you seek in relationships. But this also includes the self, the relationship you have with the self, because you have to remember Virgo is opposite Pisces, so that's where the sun is currently. So the sun shining its light on the full moon in Virgo, and Pisces is about the inner self, amongst other things. So the full moon in Virgo is a good time to address any psychological issues that you may have, and physical. It's also a good full moon to declutter and decide which of your personal possessions really serve you or are really needed. And as I was writing this, I was thinking, we're watching the unfolding of events in Europe currently, and this migration yet again of refugees now across Europe. And, it might be a good time to look at what you would take in one bag if you had to move on suddenly. Virgo is about charity. So, as I said, it's about service to others. So what better way to use this full moon energy than to donate essential items to worthwhile charities? Our personal time is also another good use of this energy. And it can be in volunteering for the various charities who are either helping the situation in Europe, but there's also lots of crisis areas throughout the world. So you have to feel what resonates with you. And that is the charity that you need to be mindful of. The other thing that's occurred to me that I would talk about in this brief look at the full moon, well, kind of brief, is that some of the feedback I've been getting over the past couple of weeks from clients is that they're feeling so impotent at the moment. And some of them are caught in fear and panic and anxiety about the, what can we call it? The atrocities that are happening in Europe. So how do you manage your feelings during times of stress? I think it's really important to firstly recognize that it's human to feel fear. It's part of our ancient fight-flight mechanism. And you know something, once we can acknowledge that it's okay to feel the fear, we're then in a better position to consciously work at getting back into some form of psychological balance. So how do we do this? Because first of all, it's by recognizing that we feel afraid. It's quite simple. It's because we're not in control. And we cannot control outcomes. So secondly, in recognizing that, in bringing it to our conscious awareness, knowing it's okay to feel fear, we have to find the way to live with the uncertainty and unpredictability of the future. Because you know what? We always have to live with uncertainty and unpredictability. It's a fact of life. But most of the time we're living our lives within our routines and our goals without really focusing on the fact that actually nothing is in our control. So it's an illusion that we have any control in that sense. And it's important, I think, to use the energy of this full moon to step back from that anxiety and the fear that this current situation that's unfolding in Europe may be evoking, and find ways to be proactive. So this brings us back to our full moon. Just one small donation gives us some control and helps us to feel we're having an effect. And in a sense, I think there's a third state other than fight and flight when we're faced with danger. Fight, we take immediate action. We get angry or we try and attack whatever it is that is attacking us or threatening us. Flight, we run away. But there's also paralysis, where we're frozen in the car headlights. And also many people will go into denial to cope with fear and try and carry on as normal. But in my experience, at some point, that kind of false reality collapses, it cracks. So it's yet another reminder, if you like, from the divine, that she's in charge. And we have to have faith in the intrinsic cosmic intelligence. So if you have been having problems with anxiety, and that is going to be exacerbated by this Virgo full moon, so just be aware of it. Although in many ways, I think collectively we're getting used to this new, series 3 of what's going on in the world. But it's important to limit your negative input, whether it's from the news, social media, and actually don't discuss it with family and friends who perhaps react differently and just go, well, there's nothing you can do about it, so you just have to get on with it. That's all very well. But when one is in fight, flight, or paralysis, which is freeze, it's really difficult. So I just wanted to throw that in because I have been asked about it. And it's about how we each process these events psychologically, because as I said, we're all different. So I think it's important to be honest with ourselves. It's important to say how we feel. Don't try and repress your feelings. Respect them. There's no shame in fear. And, be kind to each other. Just respect that we all react differently, whatever the situation is. And as long as we show kindness and love to each other, we can allay some of the anxieties that this Virgo full moon can evoke. There are two emotions that tend to dominate human behavior: fear and guilt. Fear, I've already described. But guilt is the feeling that we should be doing something, so that we will constantly beat ourselves up about what we think we should be doing, which in turn will lead to procrastination and therefore into anxiety and a sense of being out of control. And so it goes round in this cycle. So what we have to do is recognize all of this, keep those emotions in check, and just be aware which of these categories you perhaps fall into: fight, flight, freeze, denial, stoically carry on. But all of those states have their own problems and anxieties. So this full moon is about being proactive, serving ourselves, because we have to take care of ourselves first. Don't overstretch yourself. Only do what you can manage. Only give what you can afford. And we can somehow allay our fears by that service to others. So I've not gone into a lot of detail about the astrological energies for this full moon, because I think it was important to focus on the Virgo energy. And we know full moons evoke a lot of feeling. We're already in that. So you may be starting to experience kind of heightened feelings and anxieties and just perhaps finding it difficult to sleep. These are all quite typical of this strong energy we get around a full moon. And you see, we're coming up to the spring equinox, which is next weekend. So we're coming up to a point where, the planet starts tipping towards summer in the northern hemisphere and towards winter in the southern hemisphere. So we're coming up to a sort of an axis, a pivotal point where things start to shift a bit. So perhaps with the sort of more light and with hopefully the weather in the northern hemisphere warming up a bit. Certainly where I live in Malta, I cannot tell you how cold it has been and still is. And I always think it's quite amusing because I sort of think people that live in lovely centrally heated places in the northern European places that have snow and everything always think, oh, you're so lucky down there in the sun. Yeah, when it's sunny, it can be lovely in a sheltered spot. But believe me, these houses, these walls hold the damp and the moisture, and it can be freezing. But anyway, you don't want to hear about that. I know you want to hear that it's all lovely and sunny and warm. Well, we're heading that way. Let's now look at your individual signs and the area of your life in particular that is going to be affected most by this full moon. So we'll start as usual with Aries. So Aries, for you, it is actually very much about service to others and your routine this full moon. So the light is being shed on your day-to-day routine. And I do feel that, we've got this stellium of planets in Pisces. So this is in the part of your chart very much about the inner you. There's the sun. There's Neptune, which can create smoke screens, illusion, deception. How honest, Aries, are you being with yourself? That's something I want to say. Because Jupiter is here. Jupiter can expand, but it can also expand the negative. Mercury is here as well. What is your self-talk about, Aries? And I suspect there are thoughts going on for you about your work and your career direction, and you may be thinking about making quite big changes. So Aries, that's for you. So let's move on to Taurus. Okay, Taurus. Well, it's quite interesting, this full moon for you, because it's the area of your chart that is connected with your creativity. And I think that Taurus, you need to think outside the box. And you need to start recognizing it feels as if you've been perhaps procrastinating and standing back and thinking, oh, I'm never going to launch these dreams. I'm never going to get everything kind of working and moving forward in the way I would like. Please don't give up, Taurus. You are going in the right direction. And you've got this wonderful energy from Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house about learning. Your knowledge is transforming. You've got Uranus in your sign, bringing about all sorts of changes for you. So don't give up. See this full moon as a way to end perhaps some of your doubts and fears about your creativity and just go for it. Gemini. So what's going on at home, Gemini? Because the full moon for you is in the part of your chart connected with home and family. Is there some clashes going on with your work? Because it feels as if there's a lot unfolding at work which is distracting you from home and family. And maybe they're getting a little bit anxious. It's Virgo. So they're just getting a little bit, well, you do still love us, don't you? Why aren't you spending so much time at home? It's that kind of energy. Excuse me, my throat is getting dry. It's very windy and it creates all this dust and it really affects my chest. And I think that for you, Gemini, there's a sense that you need to change quite dramatically in certain parts of your life. I think your focus needs to shift onto your working life more, and just don't worry about home and family. They will adapt to perhaps you not being around so much, or at least not in your mind being around so much. It's interesting because Volodymyr Zelensky has a Gemini ascendant. And of course, I should think he is really finding it very hard to give his family and children the attention they would need. And there's a situation where the fear and the anxiety must be huge. I have great respect for that man. I think he is a an absolute inspiration for this year and for humanity. Let's move on to Cancer. Cancer. Communication. What are you worrying about? Are you writing something? Are you working on a sort of a project that you have to, or a presentation? You're trying to get something together. You're collating all this energy, and it's like you've done all your research. You've really worked hard of it, but you're doubting yourself. Stop doubting yourself, Cancer, because you've got such support from the people that are important in your life. They are encouraging you and supporting you in the way you want to move forward. So just trust that. Leo. So, Leo, this full moon for you is to do with your finance. I think you worry about your financial situation. Because you have Virgo on the area of your chart that is to do with finance, it tends to just mean that Leos on the whole never think they're going to have enough. It's not going to last. It'll run out. No, it won't, Leo. It'll be fine. It's just you've got all this energy opposite in Pisces that's making you a little bit jittery. And because of the world events and how that's affecting just the economy in general, and, you know, the fact that there's probably going to be, well, you know, product shortages and inflation, but just stop worrying, because you've always managed before, so you'll manage now. And Pluto is helping you transform your psychological approach to all of this. Virgo, well, this is your full moon. This is all about you. Hello, Virgo. Do you get a little bit anxious, a little bit wound up at times about things? Well, I think there's an awful lot going on with close relationships, and it's all a bit overwhelming, and you just want to kind of almost like just run away a bit and chill and just kind of allow yourself to change a bit and to just get used to the new way of things being. I think there's quite a few changes going on in your life, Virgo, and you've just got to trust that this is going in the right direction. I think there are changes for a partner, a significant partner, whether that's a business partner or a close romantic partner, your wife, husband, partner, significant other. So just be mindful of that. Libra. So the full moon for you, Libra, is in the part of your chart that represents the inner you. And this is not an area that you're always comfortable to go and look at. Let's be honest, Libra. It's, you know, you like to just be in charge of everything and carry on doing everything and have everything in the right place, and see, you know, you're a great mediator. You like to keep things balanced and fair. And this Virgo full moon is shining light on parts of you that you don't really like to go into. But listen, trust it. And, you know, as I said earlier, there's no shame in fear. There's no shame in anxiety. We all feel it. We just don't always own up to it. And you might just go and hide away somewhere and not want to sort of, you know, pull the duvet over your head. And that's fine. But there are some such positive changes coming into your life, Libra. And that's with your home, with your base. So just hang on in there, because the changes that you want to make are going to start unfolding. Scorpio. So for you, Scorpio, a full moon about your hopes and wishes and your dreams. Maybe there's a dream you need to let go of. Maybe there's a project you've been working on that has come to completion. So it can go either way. So there's something in this energy also about how you communicate. Do you get your communication across in a way that can be heard and understood by the other? Because Scorpio, you can be so deep. You can really you can get right down into those depths. And others can't always keep up with you or where your mind is racing off to. But the full moon in general for you is positive. So if there's things you've been working on that aren't working, let them go. It's time to work and focus on the things that are showing little seeds coming up of green growth. Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this is about your work. And I wonder whether you've been a little bit worried and concerned about your career. And again, how it keeps you away from home and family. And it does feel as if there's something about the fact that you rely on the income, which don't we all? You know, we rely on the work we do to provide the income for us to enjoy a nice life. And I think you've got to start taking some risks, Sagittarius. And if you're not doing a job or some form of work that you're passionate about, let it go. Find something you are passionate about, because then it won't be work. It'll be, oh, I'm being paid for something I love doing. How cool is that? So now we move on to Capricorn. Capricorn, I think you're getting a glimpse on the horizon that things can start changing for you. Matters that are to do with far away and travel. It looks like you may be putting out your feelers and thinking about where you could go and what you could do. And there may be some doubts about it. But I think there is something about events that are happening at a distance that are going to have an impact on your life in a very positive way. It's about letting go of something. Now, only you will know what it is in your life that I may be referring to. Because I don't. I'm just telling you what I'm picking up from the astrological energies. But I do know that Pluto in your sign, which has been going through the most amazing transition for you, as you have been transforming, changing, growing. The full moon is really supported by Pluto in Capricorn. So let go of those things that don't serve you, whatever that is. Let's move on to Aquarius. And just for your information, again, Volodymyr Zelensky is an Aquarian. So he's got vision. He's got great vision. He's about the community at large. He's about the world. He's about democracy and freedom. That's Aquarius. So this full moon for Aquarius is in the house of transformation. It's endings, beginnings. It shows that from a financial point of view, Aquarius, there may be some changes that you need to make to the structure of your finance at the moment. You could find you have a windfall one day and it all goes out the next day. So be mindful of that. And if you are fortunate and get something, some sort of something material coming in that is very positive, then you must hold on to it. Don't let it slip away. And Pluto in Capricorn, in the part of your chart to do with the inner you, is showing us how much you are changing. You've had, you've still got Saturn in your sign. Saturn also in Aquarius is bringing about enormous changes for you. So just trust that. And finally, we come to Pisces. And if you're a Pisces with a birthday, happy birthday, Pisces, to all the Pisceans. This is a lovely full moon for you because it's in the part of your chart to do with the most important people in your life. It's shedding light on these relationships. It's showing you the areas that you need to let go of, maybe in how you relate to them. Maybe you have to find a way to just let go a bit. It's like, if you're a parent and there's one of your offspring, one of your children is just sort of chomping at the bit and wants to go, let them go. You know what they say, don't you? They say just let them go and let them get on with it and love them, because then you will get that back, tenfold. And you have, Pisces, because you have this wonderful Neptune, Jupiter energy in your chart. This is a particularly good few weeks for you, Pisces. I've talked about it a bit in my March astrology, which is available on my YouTube channel at the moment. And while you're there, remember to like and subscribe, please. I would love that. And also, I'm going to be talking a lot more about this in my April astrology for YouTube, which I'm currently recording. Because Pisces, this is your time. You have Neptune and Jupiter conjunct. And so, with Mercury there as well, you are going to find ways to really speak your truth, to really show who you are, who you've become, how life has molded you into the person you are today. And with this Pluto in the part of your chart to do with your hopes and dreams, there is some project that can really take off at the moment. So don't give up, Pisces. Have faith. Keep the faith. And that's for everyone. We all have to have faith that the divine knows what it's doing, or what he or what she is doing. We have to trust that. The world in general is going through huge change currently. There's another video I've got up which is about the Pluto return in the United States of America. And that's what happened when everything started kicking off in Europe. And even though it's for the America chart, America is affected, and it's about extraordinary change. So just go with these enormous changes. Be flexible. Run with it. Don't fight against it. When we fight against it, it makes it so much harder. Whether that's on a personal level or a collective level. Have faith and trust. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much for coming here and joining me here for this full moon in-depth look, the full moon in Virgo on Friday, 18th of March. And thank you to the hosts, Gozo in the house, Please like and subscribe to their YouTube channel and their business page. Fantastic organisation. Really super grateful to them. And also, please pop over to my YouTube channel. And while you're there, I'd love it if you could subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you well, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.